Welcome back, everyone, to Harrell Field. I'm Paul Spahala, with me, Bill Horry. Verona will be kicking off to start the second half of play. Fielded at the 26-yard line, broken into the middle, and then finally pushed out at the 46-yard line. So a great start on the run back by Heckel.
He had one fella to beat there, and he would have been gone.
Bill, statistically through the first half, the numbers, no surprise, favor rushing yardage for both teams.
Yeah.
First downs, a slight advantage to Verona. Rushing yardage, advantage Verona. Glen Ridge, of course, with that one big completion. 3 penalties against the Ridgers and 1 turnover for each team, and each turnover led to a score. And right away, Townsend looking to throw. And the pass is incomplete, intended for Bensaveni, and we're going to get a penalty on, I believe, an interference call. That, of course, would be the obvious call.
That could go either way. I wasn't close enough to see, but I guess he did push off. Yep.
So defensive interference. Now everyone is moving a little too far, at least the players are, because remember, high school football, it's a 15-yard penalty. So some of the players were moving to the point of the infraction. They've watched a little too much pro ball. The drives today for Glen Ridge, they gave it up on downs on a long possession. Then they go up the ball back after a Verona turnover. And 2 plays later, Jones punched it in for a TD. And then they punted, turned it over, and punted.
There's that quick hit up the middle by the fullback.
Makel.
They run the tailback off wide to the right. Now, next time they're going to fake that fullback handoff. They're going to hand off to Jones, and he's liable to get a little step on that cornerback. He gets a step on that cornerback, and Katie bar the door.
Face mask penalty called against the Hillbillies. So a short, if no gain. However, the penalty will result in big yardage for the Ridgers. I'm Paul Spahala, with me, Bill Horry. And, well, maybe against better judgment, but we have been cleared to make use of the press box, as long as we don't touch anything. Other than that, we're in good shape. Luckily, I've got my Timberland boots on. I'm grounded.
Wouldn't that be terrible if I went at Glen Ridge, of all places to go?
Having never been defeated here, it would be a shame to suffer the big defeat here. Back to Jones. Jones tries to stiff arm his way outside. Another penalty is called.
We've had 3 plays and 3 penalties. It's a little sloppy.
However, this one in the offensive backfield, I'm going to assume a holding penalty, and more than likely holding offense. And that is the call. Offensive holding against the Ridgers.
Well, Frank Townsend, has thrown the ball twice that I remember. The first time, set up the score. The second time was a ball that pass interference was called on, a 15-yard gainer. And it wouldn't surprise me none to see him put the ball up again pretty soon.
Well, Coach, tell you what, if you went, right now you're in the company of everyone who respects you as a person.
Wouldn't that be nice? I tell you, I'm not ready right this minute.
Because we are all alone in the press box. It is 1st and 25, fumble on the snap. And Townsend did cover it up for the Ridgers, so it will be 2nd and 25. We are at Harrell Field. And unfortunately, as predicted and as anticipated, the weather has just continued to get worse as this game has gone on. The rain, which has been a constant since this morning, is still coming down steadily. Maybe even a little bit harder than the first half. It is Glen Ridge 7, Verona 6. And interestingly enough, it is homecoming day here in Glen Ridge. 2nd and 25. Townsend on the bootleg. He's got some room to the outside. He's going to keep this one. He'll get short yardage on the play. He was covered up quickly.
Like most high school quarterbacks, he sees that open, just a little open, and he doesn't see that cornerback coming, and he wants to go. He wants to turn the corner.
Well, Ken Jennings was the corner who contained the play, forced Townsend after a gain of 3.
And Jennings is a good end. He's tough.
He's a 6'3" senior.
6'3", 205 pounds. He's a returner, you know, and he's one of the few returners.
All right, Bensaveni split out to the left. Let's see if he would be an intended receiver here. Townsend, quick three-step drop, airs it out, and it will be intercepted inside the 5. Intended for Cecere, but it is intercepted by Cole. Jeff Cole, the senior, with his first interception of the season.
That's not a bad play for Glen Ridge. It takes them back to their 3-4 yard line, you know.
Not a bad punt.
Yeah, and it was third down. They would have had to kick the ball. So that's not a bad play. And not a bad call, Coach. Good call.
Nice catch by Cole. For Verona today, this is the way they have moved with the football.
Now Verona's got to be very careful. They can't make any mistakes.
All right, the ball is marked just on the 5-yard line. Anico going outside, and he's got good yardage, 6 yards on first down. For Verona, there is a flag on the play after the play.
You know, that call had to be made, obviously. He stayed with the tackle just a little too long, but I don't believe he wanted to. I believe he just couldn't get his feet out from under him, you know. He couldn't control himself, and he just stayed with the tackle and stayed too long. Maybe he could have avoided it a little easier, but didn't seem like it to me.
The officials
It was a
talking
good call,
to
had
Coach
to be
Cap,
made.
and they are instructing non-necessary personnel to leave the bench area. Let's take a look at the Verona drives today before the penalty is marked off. They punted on their first possession, fumbled, which led to Glen Ridge's only score, punted on their third and fourth possession. Then when Glen Ridge turned it over at the 22, Verona 3 plays later scored their lone touchdown of the day, and then they gave up the ball at the half. So the penalty is being sorted out.
It's 15 yards from the spot.
That ball foul, personal foul, Glen Ridge.
And that takes the ball from the 2-yard line all the way out to the 28-yard line. That's a big gain, first down gain.
And it gives Verona some breathing room now.
Remember, you got a quarterback in there that's quarterbacking the first year. He's a junior. He'll be back next year.
Anico cuts it back across the grain, gets an opening block, and then finally is dragged down from behind. They're actually tackled at the 35, and then they slide to the other 35.
And that was a great tackle by Keith Helster, and I spoke about him before. There's a good indication of his value to that team. He doesn't make that tackle, and I'll tell you right now the Verona fans are cheering because the scoreboard lights up for another 7 points for Verona, except that the scoreboard isn't functioning.
You know what? Give me a minute. I'll try and fix it. Dave Anico has cracked the 100-yard mark. He had 152 last week against Whippany Park, 128 against Bailey Ellard. And he's got the call again. This time just no running room to the outside, so it will be 2nd and 9.
I don't think he was hit that time. He just slipped in the mud. You know, the center of that field is very muddy, very slick. The sides aren't bad, but the center is slick. I would try to stay away from the center of the field.
Hey, there we go. I've got the scoreboard working. At least they've got the score up there. It is Glen Ridge 7, Verona 6.
It's third down, and that's all you've got working. Third down and 1 to go. I thought I was the only one working around here.
Maybe I'll draw a double paycheck. I'll double dip.
Whoa.
Martino dives forward. He is going to be close to a first down.
I think he's got it. Good, aggressive move by Martino.
Joe Martino, the junior quarterback.
He was quick off the blocks that time, and he needed to be.
Okay. We're going to have fun with this one. Right after this down, we're going to have one of our guys get a shot of the scoreboard. 1st and 10 for the Hillbillies.
They've stayed in that wing T formation since the beginning of the game.
Glen Ridge shows a blitz. They come.